To the world, India is many things. A land of colors, of contrasts, of chaos and calm. But to ancient Japan, India was something else entirely. It was called Tenjiku, a word that means the land of heaven. Not a place of empires or armies, but a sacred land, overflowing with wisdom, compassion, and truth. This is the forgotten story of how India quietly shaped the very soul of Japan, hundreds of years ago, when the world was young. There were no planes, no phones, no fast travel. But what traveled was wisdom. It moved through whispers in forests. It walked across deserts. It sailed across seas. One of the greatest travelers of wisdom? Buddhism. Born in India, Buddhism flowed eastward, through Nepal, Tibet, China, and Korea, before reaching the sacred islands of Japan. And when it arrived, it brought with it something powerful, a window into India's soul. In the 6th century, Japanese monks heard stories about a distant land where a prince had become a Buddha. A place where people meditated under trees, spoke of compassion instead of conquest, and taught that suffering could end through understanding the self. That place was India. These stories weren't just tales. They were calls to seek, to learn, to awaken. And so the monks began their own journey. Not just across land, but across consciousness. In the 8th century, an Indian monk named Bodhisena made history. He was invited to Japan by Emperor Shomu. Why? Because the emperor believed that only an Indian monk, one born in the land of the Buddha, could properly sanctify Japan's most sacred temple. And so Bodhisena traveled from India to China, and finally arrived in Nara, Japan. There, in the Great Eastern Temple, Todaiji, he performed the eye-opening ceremony for the giant bronze Buddha statue. This moment wasn't just symbolic. It was spiritual fusion. India's soul had met Japan's heart. The Japanese called India Tenjiku, written with the characters for heavenly axis or land of heaven. To them, it wasn't just a foreign country. It was a place beyond space, beyond time. A land where sages walked barefoot, where rivers carried not water, but wisdom, where silence could teach more than books. Tenjiku became a symbol, a dream, a north star for those seeking meaning. Japanese travelers and monks dreamed of reaching India, not for conquest, but for connection. Because they believed, if the Buddha was the light, India was the lamp. Over time, Indian influence flowed into Japan like a sacred river. Buddhist scriptures were translated from Sanskrit to Chinese to Japanese. Mantras were chanted in Sanskrit. Mudras, sacred hand gestures, became part of Japanese rituals. The mandala, a spiritual diagram from India, was adopted into Japanese esoteric Buddhism. Indian deities, too, entered Japan, not as foreign gods, but as spiritual archetypes. Saraswati became Banzaitan, goddess of wisdom. Mahakala became Daikokutan, god of prosperity. Even the architecture of temples carried the imprint of Indian design. Today, you can still feel India in the air of Japanese temples. In the deep stillness. In the bowed heads. In the quiet chanting of monks. But the connection isn't just historical. It's eternal. Yoga is practiced in Japanese schools. Indian spiritual texts are studied by Japanese seekers. And in both cultures, there is a shared reverence for simplicity, silence, and self-realization. In a world torn by noise and conflict, India and Japan remind us of something sacred, that true strength lies in inner peace. That the greatest light is the one within. So what did India mean to Japan? Everything. It meant guidance. It meant purity. It meant heaven on earth. Even today, when a Japanese child bows before a Buddha, when a monk lights incense in silent prayer, when a seeker meditates on emptiness, somewhere, silently, India, Tenjiku, still speaks. Because the spirit of a land doesn't die. It lives in the hearts it touches. And India, the land of heaven, still shines across oceans. In every moment of stillness. In every whisper of wisdom. In every soul that dares to seek.